I don't think Humanimal channel viewers will be surprised that I have been following the missing persons case out of Tennessee. Little Summer Wells, who's 5 years old, and she's been reported as missing in the last week. And I wasn't going to make any videos on it, but I think it shouldn't come as any surprise that it's exactly the type of situation that just grabs my attention and doesn't let go for so many reasons. And I thought, well, let's just discuss a little bit about what we've seen and see what we think about it. So Summer Wells, she's 5 years old. She's got 3 older brothers. The family, at least when the oldest brother was born, they were in Utah, Don Wells and his wife Candus. And they moved from Utah when Don's mother was ill. She's subsequently died. She's left him the property that it looks like they've then built this home on. And they've had 3 more children, so 2 more boys and then Summer. And it's from this property that Summer has been reported missing. So in Tennessee, there's a lot of really rural areas, and where the Wells family live, it's no exception. There could be acres and acres of land in between each home, maybe even miles. So they're isolated properties. They have a very rugged terrain around them, lots of really complicated topography, rugged, and lots of waterways and that sort of thing. So dense bush, and there's a lot of wildlife, and it's probably, you know, in some regards a really great way to grow up as a child with various freedoms and lack of restrictions, fun activities to do, this kind of free range life. But it would all depend on your family dynamic and the values of your parents and how the parents manipulate family life. So there's the family living on this property, and then Candus's mother has also moved there, and she's living in a caravan that's just off to the side of the house. The house is on a hill, so there's lots of hollers all around the area, with probably most of the properties perhaps being built up on their own little hills up off the road. And the caravan that the grandmother's living in isn't too far from the house. You can clearly see it in the aerial images where there's the house, and then just to the side here there's the little caravan. And there's lots of trees around the property. And the family has dogs, as to be expected. They ride motorcycles, and they play in cricks and things. So you've got this family unit here, this nuclear family, extended family, because grandma's there. And the family attends a Seventh-day Adventist church. They were attending a different denominational church, but when Father Don discovered that the real Sabbath is Saturday, not Sunday, he wanted to go to a church that gathered on the true Sabbath as he saw it. He'd gained this education from somewhere. Someone had advised him of this, or I don't know, did he discover it through reading the Bible himself? I'm not sure, but yeah, there's lots of denominations who treat Saturday as a Sabbath, you know, sort of Orthodox people and It's different to Catholicism, where it's all about Mass on Sunday. But they're sharing the same God. There is the belief in Jesus Christ as the Son of God. So it's this church group who are probably the last people to see summer, other than people in this little family unit of grandmother, mother, father, and brothers. They have a pretty shaky home life, I would imagine. Father Don has left mother before, taken the youngest boy, and this is interesting because of who he uses in an interview later and what he says about this youngest boy. And he took a youngest boy away with him to Utah. He says that Mother Candus got him to come back by making him jealous. Jealous of her, or jealous of what? Candus is active on social media, particularly TikTok, and I wonder, jealous of whom? Her or of the little girl, Summer? Because Summer is what Don says is a daddy's girl, and maybe this is why he has shaved her head. At one point it was shaved just along the sides, maybe to reconstruct his own hairstyle that he's got. I don't know. I don't think it's to do with lice. I think it's to do with punishment. I think it might even be to protect her. Did Mum shave it to protect the little girl from being daddy's girl? The dynamics in this family are so bizarre. So it's this American Gothic thing that I keep talking about in other cases. It's this, it's deep, it's complex, it's damaged, and it has a structure, a dynamic and a flow and an energy all of its own. It's something that is developed over generations from where Don's come from, Candus, and it's developed through what they make together and what they do with their own nuclear family. And it's not easy psychology just to say this, 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 and this would be the case. But Don does talk a lot, and we can extrapolate a few things about him, I think. But let's just look at, so Candus and Don and their relationship, because Don has said he wanted to leave Candus and she's wooed him back by making him jealous. I don't know if it was by her own image on TikTok or things that she said and done, or was it making him jealous of little Summer? Because there are some very strange videos. They're very exploitative of her children, and particularly Summer. And there's the TikTok where Summer is being directed to twirl and leap and splash in the rain in front of a barrel which has "for sale" painted on it. And she's splashing in water, and then you cut away to this lurking oaf of a boy. Sorry, but the expression on his face suddenly cuts and he's walking into the water after Summer. And you just feel this chill. He looks towards Candus, who's holding the camera. It's very chilling. And there's just so much to ponder about damaged people and the sickness that might be pervasive into these lives. And this might sound judgmental, but I don't think you can just say, oh, but you know, These are people living in the country. They're a little bit wild. They live a more simple life. They have, different outlooks, and no matter how you want to explain it, human beings, there are things that are 100% universal in our facial expressions and our gestures. We can communicate even though we could be using different languages. We don't need our verbal language to communicate, and we are still all of one species, the human race, Homo sapien, and we can even interpret other species, and especially if we are logical. People that aren't logical often misinterpret what animals are telling them, but if you're logical and if you're in touch, you can interpret many creatures, and you should be able to interpret your own. Okay, and there's so much subtext, particularly when we learn of Candus's family history, Don's family, his own history. I mean, this is where it becomes very, very rich, doesn't it? When Don will say, he just hangs with church people. The impression he's trying to get is, oh, I don't hang out with these drug abusers that are around this area, or I don't hang out with anyone that might harm anyone. What, Don? You mean you just make churchgoers hang out with the pieces of shit? Okay? You don't hang out with what, yourself? Yeah, because Don Wells is a piece of shit who is abusive and who is what some might say narcissistic. You can kind of see it, and controlling, domineering. He's got a history of violence and worse, but like many pedophiles, say, he's been saved in prison, and he's come out, and he thinks he is the righteous, that when the resurrection that he likes to talk about happens, the returning of Jesus Christ, and when the righteous are resurrected, the righteous dead, and when the alive are saved, he somehow thinks he's going to be one of them. Why? Because Don Wells is the type of arrogant narcissist that when he talks, he 100% is he's fully expecting that you just believe every word he says. He thinks he is the smoothest, most believable person. He thinks he can manipulate anybody. He thinks his mask is so schmack that you can't see through him. Don't be fooled. There's talk about Don's son, so step brother to Summer and her nuclear family of brothers. He's a terrible person by all accounts. Some people might be quite forgiving. It's not the Christian way. No, it's not. Despite what some people might say or think they know, to just forgive everybody and then just let them around your children. No, you might, they do say charity begins at home, I guess, but it doesn't mean you don't try to protect your children. Don's got a son who, in the news, the Time News interview he gave, Don downplays everything, and he thinks you'll just go along with it. Don has downplayed the abuse of his pedophile son toward a younger child. I mean, look, 17. People do know their own mind, but Don knows full well. So he's so vague. He knows full well that his son was many years older than this girl, who legally was a minor. However, Don just plays it off as a year and a half old or something like that. He's very vague. He's also very vague about, he doesn't know where Candus grew up. I mean, because to Don, this isn't important. And why should it be important to you? Now, let's bring the conversation back to Don. This is what he does all the time. He's asked questions. What about Candus's background? Because, the Times news reporter was going to talk about her sister, Rose, who has gone missing, went missing in 2009, when Don had already known Candus for a couple of years, maybe. Don doesn't know where Candus grew up. Oh, he'll tell you all about him growing up and, where he grew up. He doesn't know about Rose, doesn't pay much attention, he said, didn't pay much attention. Why would he? Unless, of course, he had something to do with her disappearance. This is possible. Who's the common denominators here? Grandma, mother, Don. Rose was 21 when she went missing. Did Don try something on? And Rose wasn't having it. Who knows? She was going to go and meet up with someone, a cousin ostensibly. Cousin, I think that she said, or the story goes, and then her vehicle was found in another town entirely, somewhere near, I think, where Don has ties. So, what else do I find a little bit queer about Don? So he's very dismissive of Candus. So when the Times news reporter is wanting to discuss Candus, he's probably thinking, well, I mean, this has got to be super traumatizing for her, considering that her sister is a missing person as well. Don doesn't say, yes, and this is just so hard on my wife because of this. This is just compounding it. It's very triggering. It's obviously very hard on grandmother as well, because, it's the second female from our family who has gone missing. No, he doesn't really want to dwell on that. It's not important to Don, so it shouldn't be important to you. Just Don is important. Don will stand in the families with his arms, stretched out, got all the family gathered around, taking photographs of when they're building the home or doing this or doing that. And they're just the strangest photographs. The same way he's standing with his youngest son next to him in one interview recently, and that hand is just around those shoulders, and this is the son that he says, yeah, the children are handling it quite well. I don't understand, and especially the youngest boy. It's weird to me. Yeah, so it's weird to him. Nothing of it, the children might just be having trouble processing what's going on. There's probably no room for emotions in this home unless they're Don's. Maybe they know what's happening, because it's like some kind of threat. This is the boy he had with him when he went to Utah. What, can't Don be alone? Or he needed to still have that tie. This is an excuse that he can't really go. Maybe he would really have had to have run off if he didn't have a son with him, right? And then he's got to have the boy there standing there. Apparently he dropped his arm and was disinterested in the boy after the interview. I mean, family are a prop. It was very disturbing seeing Candus sitting there next to him. In one interview, arms on the desk, and just her face is a cloud, and it's super disturbing, super disturbing. Yeah. Don is, I mean, he's just being so verbal and so forthright about what might have happened to his young daughter, Summer. But what's queer, more queer, is when he says, look, you know, to all, you know, because he acknowledges there's so many missing people, and that, you know, maybe his daughter's one of these, and she's been abducted, she's being tortured, basically. But he doesn't say, and he just says, you know, I hope that she's got enough faith in Jesus, or knows enough, because she was so young, she hadn't had got time to learn it. So, you know, he's really worried for her, you know, worried for how she's coping, and maybe he's worried about how will she be resurrected if she can't have true faith in Jesus, because, you know, as if this innocent girl is being judged. This piece of shit Don Wells isn't being judged. Oh, he's righteous now. He's repented. He's found God. He knows all the buzzwords, so he's fine. But his innocent 5-year-old daughter, she's been abducted and tortured, and yeah, hope she knows enough about Jesus Christ. You know, no plea that you would expect would come on the heels of that. A plea of, you know, if you have her, whoever has her, please don't hurt my child. She is the sweetest child. He talks about how sweet she is in terms of how much she's a daddy's girl. And is this a bone of contention between him and his wife? I don't know. But she looks very undernourished. She didn't, you know, she's undernourished. Is mum trying to protect her by dressing her like a tomboy? I don't know. She looks undernourished. She sometimes looks bruised. Growing up free range, you do. You're covered in bruises and broken blood vessels on your shins, and you have scratches, and you stub your toe. And girl or boy, this isn't abnormal, I don't think, in itself. But I think her expressions and just her general countenance does speak volumes. The boys seem just so much more robust. They're older, but one of them's not that much older, and they look much more nourished and healthy. People mention the shaved heads a lot, and I don't think it's anything to do with lice at all. Sometimes the whole family's got their heads shaved. Sometimes it's mum. Sometimes it's Summer. I mean, is Dad punishing them at various times by just shaving their hair? Because it's humiliating. It's an act of humiliation to do that. To me, just seems, I mean, there's just something going on there. It's overbearing. I feel like the family know. I mean, it's true. It is totally possible that a stranger has abducted Summer, and particularly if she's wandered off down her driveway. Of course she would go down the end of the driveway. Now, she might know not to. She might be told not to, but she could wander anywhere on that property. And, of course, she could walk down the driveway. And happenstance that someone comes along and takes her. Yes, it might happen. Father Don has again put forth yet another theory about, you know, someone seeing her on social media and coming for her. And yeah, I think that people do exploit their children this way. You see many, many YouTube channels which are, you know, it's baiting, using their children to bait, and they've got an email address there and people can contact them. Yeah. And maybe that's been going on here. Maybe not. But I know we're not to go on intuition, but there's a lot to be said for it. And I don't feel like this was a safe environment or a happy family environment. They might have had their moments. I think when little children are reaching out to others, hugging people that aren't their adults, that they aren't close with, adults that they're not close with, maybe, the church friends that Don was talking about, Summer's church friends. When you're hugging adults that are nothing to do with you, it's a cry for attention, to see me. I need you. I need something. Look at me. Or, trying to get comfort. Think about think about the terrible situation where the two women were adopting a lot of children. They were racists, adopting black children, these two white women, and eventually drove them off a cliff in a car with them, murder-suicide. But there was one little boy who was famous for, going up to Xavier Rudd and just crying and wanting to be held, and going up to a policeman in a parade and crying. I mean, now he might have been told to go and do that, and it makes good YouTube for these sick people who had these children in their clutches. But there was that desperation. This boy was trying to communicate. And I think when you see young children just going up to strangers like this and being too intimate and close, it's not really normal. It's not normal, the boundaries, and it's not normal for a child to want to do that, unless there's something going on there with either boundaries or this need to communicate. And if Summer was doing this a lot in church, she was trying to communicate. She wants to be seen. Because Don, he can wank on all he likes about what a good Christian he is, and how he's just waiting for the resurrection, and how, his faith might see him through and everything. But it's Don. He should be saying, look, enough about me. Look, this is the second tragedy like this to strike our family. This just can't be happening. We have to find Summer. If you have her, bring her back. She's an innocent little child. She doesn't deserve what's happening to her. How dare you do this to an innocent girl, our daughter? We are destroyed. Bring her back. He was so nonchalant when the 25,000, okay, I know that his shtick is really like, droll. Just like, well, yeah, you guys, 25,000, wow, that's great. No curiosity, nothing about it, just saying, oh, that is amazing. But he's not like, oh, gosh, I just want to thank you so much, whoever has done that for us, because I wasn't able to do it. I've got no equity in my house. I couldn't raise the money myself. Thank you so much. I can't tell you how much I appreciate that, and I hope that whoever has Summer sees this, please just take the money and run. Someone knows something. No. And he just, again, will bring it back to himself, bring it back to the Don, the Don. This is, he's an absolutely despicable lowlife, and in my opinion. Candus hasn't been careful enough of her daughter's image. She's been exploiting her children. I don't know whether this is because of some sort of mental retardation or not. I know that some people just have simple ways of thinking. But I tell you what, stupid people are also cunning. They can be some of the most cunning, nasty people on the planet too, right? Okay? The whole evil genius thing, it doesn't really wash. It might do but it's not general pop of who can commit atrocities. Hurt people, damaged people. okay? And if you don't have certain types of intelligence or emotional intelligence or ability to process things or seek out certain resources to support you, you're going to play damage forward. So I don't know if this is what's happening with Summer, but was she really truly safe? There's a lot of scary people in her life. Don, you say you only hang out. I mean, what sort of blinders has Don got on? He's the danger. His own son is a danger. There's a whole level of weirdness here that Don thinks that we can't see. Don, you're not fooling anybody. You can speak all you like. We don't hang on your every word. We don't believe everything you say, is what I mean to say. Okay? We know you're full of shit. Now, I don't know if you've got anything to do with Summer going missing. Isn't it awful that she's disappeared off the face of the planet? You seem pretty resigned to it. I don't know, I don't know if your younger son that you were holding there like a hostage or in a threatening manner, I don't know if did he push her down the stairs accidentally? Or have you told your family that you will blame them? Are you scaring the children by saying, I only have to blame you? They're going to believe me over you. Yeah, because I feel like this father is brutal. I feel like the family might be scared of him. I don't know if Candus or her grandmother's had anything to do with this, but these are traumatized people, and they're hooking up with this person who, is trying to act like he's very pure, but he's continuing to commit crimes. Recently, it was last year that he was that Candus had to report him for domestic abuse, for being physically and mentally abusive to her and the children. She said she was frightened of what he might do to her and the children. Well, has it come true? Does Candus have anything to feel guilty for, as in not hitching the grandmother's trailer to one of the vehicles and just driving out of there with the children in tow? This guy's narcissistic, and I feel like Candus needs to speak up if she knows anything, if she did anything. People don't cover up an accident. They don't plot to cover up an accident. They plot to cover up murder. They plot to cover up foul play. If it's an accident, you just have to let it play out. You have to say, look, something's happened. This child's died. She's fallen down the stairs. You don't plot to cover that up just in case people think you murdered your child, because you have to have faith that everything will be okay, because you want to do the right thing. You want to be able to honor your child. You want to be able to bury her. You don't want to have to carry out this facade for the rest of your life, like the McCanns or the Ramseys. You don't plot to cover up an accident. You cover up foul play. Yeah, so, Don, just keep talking, Don, and we'll keep listening, and, just keep it on coming, because you expose yourself over and over again. As someone who only thinks of himself, who thinks he should be listened to and believed, you think everything that you're saying is being believed, that you could just say anything. I mean, you are deluded. You're not above reproach. You've got a lot to be sorry for, And, you need to accept some responsibility for Summer living in conditions where she seems not to have been happy. There's some pretty disturbing images and film out there of your daughter. And the world wants to know what's happened to her. And yeah, as the Tennessee law enforcement and the enforcement all around the area who are helping out, so many agencies, so many agents, good on them. They won't stop. So they are going to solve this one. Let's not let this be an Orrin and Orson Welles. This was a terrible video. Sorry guys, just haven't been feeling like making them lately. And sometimes I record them and then I just don't post them. Or I just can't get anything out how I want to say it. I think because because I mean it's obviously it's just so surplus to requirements that I report on anything, But I guess in a way I'm kind of a response channel. So I'll probably say, oh, don't know if I'll keep making videos. And then there's always something to respond to. But yeah, I think it's pretty clear that this is exactly the sort of case that captures my attention. I think all the reasons that it does, and yeah, let's see what happens. I hope little Summer Wells is found. Was she taken away in a vehicle? Was she taken away by Dad, Don Wells, when he went to work? Was there just an accident? Why cover up an accident? Because her body shows abuse? Why did it, is there a reason that Summer, it's imperative she's not found? Or is Don just, a dickhead who just can't seem to say anything right and he just comes across wrong all the time? I mean, no, I think the signs of narcissism and manipulation and control, it's universal. It doesn't matter if it's filtered through a university professor, through a civil engineer, if it's filtered through someone in the city or someone in a very rural area. Yeah, their mode of what they're really saying, it's universal.